Okay, in this lesson we're going to dig just a little bit further into the V-Ray material editor by adding some finishes to our webcam unit. So to begin with, let's isolate that on screen. So I'm going to bring up the Layers Manager. We'll select the cams layers, so we can just left click on the cams layer, right click and then select from select sublayers objects. Then if we move the layer editor to one side, you'll see that's all selected there. We can hide that out, and as we've done in the past, we can swap that out so we've got our problem isolated on screen. I also wanted to mention at this point, a lot of this exploration we've done in the last few videos has been to do with becoming more familiar with the V-Ray materials editor. It's important to stress that often we're allocating materials between the native material editor in Rhino, and when we're moving on to more precise finishes, we can then create fresh materials in V-Ray. The advantage of this is, as I mentioned a few lessons ago, is that if we are transferring materials between other programs, Cinema 4D for example, the native materials in Rhino are directly transferable, whereas the V-Ray materials in some cases are not. Okay, so to begin with, let's look at our webcam body. So we're going to open our material editor, just left click on the icon there. We're going to create a fresh material. So simply right click, create material, standard, and we'll rename that material webcam body. Okay, so webcam body, we'll click OK. The next step in the process is we're going to add a blended texture. So in order to do that, we go to our diffuse layer. Okay, left click on the M mark, scroll down to text blend, click OK. And in our first texture, we're going to put in a black color. So select text color. We can just click on the square in that regard and automatically grab the black color. Click OK, click OK again, so that's given us the texture on one side. Now on the other side, we're going to go for a bitmap texture. So click on the M, scroll down to text bitmap, and in the referenced files section, we're going to select that textured sample that we've used in the past. So I'll just move that up a bit, click open, and we've now applied that to the surface. We can make that texture in the UVW range, 20 by 20. And we'll also make, we can click OK on that, we'll make the blend amount 0.3. And we'll preview that. We can see we've got a fine texture on that surface, perhaps a little bit too fine, so we'll just quickly go back and take that down to 5. Click OK, preview, so the texture is just a little bit more obvious. And on this occasion, we're going to add a bump to that surface. So when we go down below, you'll see a Maps tab. Simply activate the bump setting. And we're going to click on the M mark. And the texture that we're going to apply is a text cellular. So scroll down, you'll see there text cellular. And the default settings are for dots, which is fine, and we'll make the size, let's see, 0.1 is fine, and the density will move up to 7. Preview that. Okay, so you can see the surface there, and we're going to change the edge color such that there's very little transition to black. Click OK. Preview, so we get a sharper transition. Click OK. Just check our density there. We'll preview that. That's looking good. And now we'll apply that material via layer. So right click, apply layer to material, so apply material to layer. We'll scroll down to cam body, click OK. Okay, and now we'll pause that while I do a quick test render. Okay, that's rendered out, and you'll also make a note that once you start adding texture maps and bump maps and displacement maps to your rendering, the rendering times go up incrementally. So it's best to leave these materials to last. So if we scroll in on that element there a little bit, let's see if we can just get ourselves to move in. There we go. You can see a subtle texture as if it's a slightly stippled rubber material on our webcam body. Okay, the next thing we want to do is add some chrome sections to here, the middle ring and the back ring. Okay, so we just click out, and also during that pause, I also switched on the lighting onto that layer and the backdrop, just so we had something in play. Okay, we're just going to zoom out, come back in onto our surface there. For a moment, we're just going to activate our layers menu, and we're going to switch off the lenses from our body. And we're going to explode these two surfaces. So you can see them held down the mouse key, holding down shift, and we've selected those two elements. Then we go across to our explode command, and you can see we've got that there. Now we're going to deselect, just clicking there on the screen. Now we're scrolling from right to left to grab the one on one side. You can see it on the screen there. We're just moving in. There we go. There's the other one, so we can check it on the perspective viewport. We can check the other one. The other one, there we go. That's looking great. Then we hold down the shift key there. We're selecting the internal element. The internal element on those, we're using the join command to join that geometry together, and we'll also use the group command. So there we go, we've grouped that. That's going to be the chrome finishes. So if we go to our layer editor, our material editor, we can scroll down to chrome, simply right click, and we're going to apply that object via selection. So apply material to selection, click OK, we move that across. So we've now got a gloss finish on the outer rings and a stipple finish elsewhere. Okay, now the next step that we want to do is we're just going to do a quick test render, and then we're going to change the inside bracket. Okay, I'll just pause there. So you can see there the finish that we get when we change chrome to the inside and outer rings. That's probably a little bit too high a contrast, so we might duplicate that material and change it out shortly. But to begin with, let's just change the finish on that inside bracket. So to begin with, let's just close that editor out. We're going to turn this into a slightly glossier material. So we're going to take our material editor. We're going to scroll down to V-Ray Hazard Yellow, right click, click Duplicate Material, left click, so you can see it's there on screen. We're going to right click again, we're going to rename that webcam bracket, so rename material, webcam bracket, click OK. Now we need to consider the changes that we want to make to that material relative to our hazard yellow. So at the moment, we've just got to make it slightly darker and redder. So we're just going to move it into the orange range. Make sure that there's a distinct change, and we're going to saturate that color just a little bit more. Click OK. We're also going to add a reflection map to that. So we could just create layer, scroll down to reflection, left click, and you can see that that's on screen there. We'll preview that, okay, and we want to make it more metallic, so we're going to take that up to 5, preview it again, so we've got a sharp little metallic reflection there, and now we need to apply that to the material. So we're going to apply material to layer, left click, scroll down to webcam bracket, and click OK. We can move the material editor off screen now, and we can pause there and do yet another test render. So on screen now you can see the result of the applied material to the webcam bracket is going to be darker than the body hazard yellow, and that sets off a nice metallic contrast between the chrome fittings on the webcam and the stippled rubber finish we have on the body of the webcam. In our next lesson, we're going to continue to refine this detail, and we'll nearly be at the conclusion of our V-Ray material applications. Okay.